Now, what we've seen in a way that is unique to modern political history is a president who's explicit in trying to discourage people from voting, right? I think the Republicans' view has been it's all fair game as long as it helps us gain power. What we've never seen before is a president say, I'm going to try to actively kneecap the Postal Service to encourage voting, and I will be explicit about the reason I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's sort of unheard of, right?
As the coronavirus spreads across our country, voters who don't get mail-in ballots will have to decide whether or not to head out for in-person voting at the polls. You might remember scenes that we showed you from Wisconsin. This was way back in early April. Long lines to vote just as the country was coming to grips with a pandemic. Now a new documentary called Dress Rehearsal looks at the events leading up to that election.
We had sent in the mail for an absentee ballot. It never came. Me and my sisters never came. By the ballot not coming, I just felt like that was a way of them, like, oh, they didn't get the absentee ballot. They're not going to go vote. So I had to go to the polls. But I voted. Like, I matter.
Please note it is called Dress Rehearsal for a reason. For more, we welcome to the broadcast Angela Lang. She's Executive Director of Black Leaders Organizing for Communities in Wisconsin. And Paul Gronke, a professor in political science at Reed College up in Portland, Oregon, also happens to be the founder and director of the school's Early Voting Information Center, which looks for nonpartisan, evidence-based solutions to administering elections. Imagine that. Thank you both for coming on. Angela, first to you. Remind our audience, please, what problems they had with mail-in voting in Wisconsin. Also, if you recall, remind us, I think the official phrase is duh. They had an outbreak of coronavirus after the in-person election. And what, 70 people got sick in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we had a lot of issues that I think everybody has seen and heard and expressed, and people have seen the viral pictures about the elderly standing in line. There were folks that actually requested absentee ballots, some of which are on our team, that never actually got them. So they did everything right, but yet still were faced with that decision of, do I stay safe or do I risk my health and make sure that my voice is heard? And ideally, in a robust democracy, that is not something that we should ever have to be faced with. And, I have been very adamant that in a democracy where we should have safe and fair and free elections, even if one person gets sick, that is one too many. And we know that it's a way to really weaponize a global pandemic as another form of voter suppression.
So, Professor, you're just a guy sitting at home watching a broadcast like this one, perhaps, and you hear the president talk about how rife with fraud mail-in voting is, how it will be the laughingstock of the world because of voter fraud. What's the truth where you're concerned?
Well, Brian, I'm out here on the West Coast, so usually I wake up in the morning and hope that that hasn't happened again, because it usually ruins my week. Many in our community, scholars, other advocates like the National Vote at Home Institute have been trying to counter messaging. Brian, actually, this most recent event, there haven't been many Republican voices, but a couple of weeks ago when Trump again launched a missive and unfortunately followed by the Attorney General spouting misinformation about mail-in voting, a number of Republican secretaries of state, for example, Republicans from Utah, they all vote by mail, pointed out that actually Republicans have benefited from voting by mail and absentee voting for 25 years. It's a very odd world we're in right now. And I'm not sure how the rank and file GOP, which is really well organized around absentee balloting, thinks about what the president is doing.
And Angela, on the ground in Wisconsin, how many folks are you hearing from in advance, 81 days to go, who already are worried about casting an in-person vote and recalling the standard you just laid out? If so much as one person gets sick, it's a failure.
Yeah, we've definitely had to overcome some challenges from the April 7th election. There are some folks that we know, some parents of our lead ambassadors, for example, who did everything right, as I mentioned, and never got their ballot and had to be persuaded to try again this next presidential cycle. I think it's very easy for folks to say, why should I continue this process if it didn't work in April? And so we're doing everything that we can to make sure that people feel comfortable and restore their faith in the process, essentially of how they need to vote in November, and even in the days leading up to it. GOTV is no longer 2 or 3 days before an election, but really making sure that we're getting out the information.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.